pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Moines County Supervisors meeting, September the 9th, 2025. Okay, I need a motion to go into closed session to discuss the minimum allowed sales price for 522 North 3rd Street, Burlington, Iowa, in accordance with Iowa Code 21.5 to discuss the purchase or sale of particular real estate.
I move that we go into closed session.
Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Aye.
Tom Broker,
Aye.
Jim Carrey.
Aye. come out of closed session.
Motion to end the closed session.
Second.
Sarah?
Tom Hacker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Before we move on to the agenda, I would like to give Shane an opportunity here if he wants to say something.
Yeah, I've received several emails, and a lot of them were encouraging, so I do want to thank those that were thinking about me. But saying that I missed 4 meetings, and where have I been? And I feel like I should have to address that, but I will. I missed 2 meetings. I was there via Zoom. I said 2 meetings that I had to watch later because we record our meetings. So there's nothing that I've missed. Everything that everybody else has seen, I've gone through, and I've seen those too. But I just had major surgery and had to get a little blood, and was in Iowa City for about a week. So there, I put it out there. If anybody has any questions, I'll be more than glad to grant it. But sometimes life gives you lemons, and it gave me some lemons. I had to deal with it, but I love my job. You guys want some money back? I mean, I'm still taking care of business and doing emails and all of that. But when somebody says that Shane's missed 4 meetings, that's not true. I missed 2 meetings, and I went back and I watched them later. The same thing that everybody else can do. But anyways, just trying to get through this process. It's a 4 to 8 week process of healing, and I'm only 3 weeks in. I wanted to make sure I came down today to make sure people knew that no, I'm still involved. I'll still be there. I'm still making my notes. But no, I'm just dealing with surgery, and it happens to people. I'm sure I'm not the first person that's ever had to have surgery. So there's that.
Closed session.
Yeah. What happened?
We went into closed session and on the building, the old public health building, and we have decided to take sealed bids on it. And we'll publish the dates later here when it's going to be within the next, I don't know, week or so. And we discussed the minimum bid, and we're going to have a minimum bid of $125,000. That's what our meeting was about for public health building. And that's at 522 North 3rd Street. So, anybody in here interested?
Hey, let's get the party
You
started.
can't officially take bids, I figure. You'll have the press right back.
Party started.
So it's gonna be, it'll be published. Thank you, folks, for sitting out here and waiting on us. Appreciate that. Okay, moving on, is there any changes to the tentative agenda?
I have none.
I have none.
I have none. Meet with department heads and elected officials. Sarah Doty, auditor.
Good morning. Just getting things wrapped up or ready for the primary. Just waiting on our ballots last week, so waiting for my templates to come to make sure that those look good, and then we'll get those in and hopefully start absentee voting the 17th as long as all ballots and machines are ready. So just business as usual.
Zach Kane, regional
I was trying
planner.
to tell if you're looking for me or Colin.
Looking at both of you.
Good morning. Things are going well. Been a little busier the last few days because Vera is out on vacation, so taking a few extra phone calls. Nothing too crazy. A couple subdivisions that are out there. Had a phone call yesterday too about another possible subdivision. There's just a couple permits out there, but nothing major report. Got the work session later.
I do thank you for sending them subdivision things so we can look over all that. Colin Gerst, IT department.
Good morning.
Short term,
What's that?
short termer.
Yeah, short term. Just keep busy like always, but
Definitely our new report, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Sheriff Glendenning.
Pretty much same for us, been pretty busy couple weeks. But our jails felt that impact. We're up to 10 out of county, 84 adults right now. There's 5 in intake this morning, so it looks like most of those will probably be kept. So that number will probably grow later today. But we'll deal with it and try to move through the process.
Okay, thank you. Chris Kogemel, Public Health.
Good morning. We're also keeping busy. We are anticipating to get our flu vaccine in the next week or so. So then we'll be scheduling some flu clinics where people will have special days where people can come in anytime and get a flu shot. We do offer those as well during our immunization days, which is on Tuesdays from 8:30 to 4. So we do anticipate getting some of the vaccine for adults. So anyone for the flu vaccine, anyone who has any type of a copay, adult-wise, will be able to get the vaccine at no cost. Same thing for vaccines for children. Anyone who does not have insurance or is unable to pay for those will be able to get vaccines through our clinic. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Trent, how's the attorney's office doing?
Everything's going good. Obviously for the position for office manager, we've gotten several applications in for that. So that's looking good. Everything else, business as usual.
Okay, thank you.
We're getting, Rodney had somebody over to scope the bathrooms this time. I think we just need to blow those pipes up and start over. But
Okay. Shannon, how's emergency management?
We've been very fortunate to have some really nice weather the last couple weeks, but it is going to warm back up this weekend. Just wrapping up the hazard mitigation plan update and working with a couple different entities on their city plans and school plans, and lots of planning happening, I guess, this time of year, but business as usual as well.
Okay, thank you. Natalie, Recorder's Office.
Good morning. Everything's going well in the recorder's office. Nothing new to report.
Okay. I do have a question for you. These golf carts and that's in the side-by-side golf carts, you said last week that you had to get a permit for some of them. How about the side-by-side golf carts?
Golf carts aren't
It's,
actually considered probably an off-highway vehicle. We always have a DNR officer inspect them to see that they meet the qualifications. They're definitely not street legal by the DOT. DNR, there are certain classifications to be considered an off-highway vehicle for us to register those. So when I say off-highway vehicle, it's gonna be like your Polaris Rangers, something with a bench seat and a wheel. Golf carts sometimes don't meet the weight or the tire standard.
The lighting restrictions also has a lot to do with it, the ability to, and for the off-highway vehicle, they have to operate under 35 miles per hour, have to have a slow-moving vehicle sign, and then there's exemptions for lights. So they can be operated in that way, but they have to meet the standard, they have to register as the code requires. So they can, but there are some actually street legal golf carts that have been built that way, that have all the lights that are actually registered automobiles, registered vehicles, to be driven on the road. So there is a line there that you have to meet certain standards to be registered that way, that have actual registration license plates on them, as opposed to an off-road vehicle for on-road use.
okay. I'll talk to you afterwards on it. I'm talking about myself. I got a little side-by-side, it's got lights, turn signals and everything on it. It only run about 30 miles an hour. The city of Danville wouldn't give me a permit because they said I didn't need one.
I was gonna say, sometimes there are some city ordinances, sometimes it's a case-by-case scenario. They just have to be inspected to see if they do meet the qualifications.
Good job.
Population's going out that
So,
way.
so the city of Danville does have their own ordinance, and it was specific to golf carts. And as the the statute changed for the off-road vehicles or the side-by-side ATV code, then that may have impacted the standard that affects you also. So we can take a look at that and see where that's at in accordance with Danville's ordinance. But if you're looking specific to Danville, we'd look at Danville's ordinance to operate in the city limits.
Well, I just wanna know if I can take it out on the road because I didn't know.
Take it on the road, Jimmy.
You going to jail may not look good.
Hey, Jimmy, just step on her and see what she'll do.
Hey boy, where's the fire?
Okay, thank you for that. Angie, safety.
Good morning. Nothing much going on. I mean, unfortunately, as employees get busier, a lot of times so do I. But other than that, I mean, we're just
Okay, thank you.
same old.
Okay, Rodney, maintenance?
Good morning, just a lot of stuff going on, but nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Carter, I didn't forget you today.
You know, Jim, first of all, I think you're gonna look great in an orange jumper. No, tons of stuff going on, a lot of stuff in the office, trying to button up this year, trying to get ready for next year, and then working on all the little things that happen to pop up in the middle of everything. Guys are out doing plenty of stuff. We're ditching kind of up in the Big Hollow area. Kind of that 190th that cuts across over from 61 to Big Hollow Road is what I would call it. But so we are up there ditching. So if you hear something, people like to cheat across there and then complain about the gravel rather than using the road that's paved to get there. But so we're ditching there. We are doing some concrete patching right out by the landfill. In case you hear anything out there. So there'll be some inconvenience out there, but it'll be one lane. People will be able to get through. It might just be a pause to get through. It really needed it, so we kind of made a spur of the moment switch last week and went ahead and did that. We're kind of in the middle of doing some patching anyway. And credit to our guys, we're not really a concrete patching crew, but we had so many blowups this summer that we chose on the smaller blowups to try to do them ourselves. So I appreciate them going beyond kind of our normal comfort zone of things that we would do. We're not doing the larger ones because people prefer things to ride better or ride good when you're done pouring concrete. And so we're just doing the smaller ones, and we still have a contract to do the big ones. But either way, a lot of that's kind of been the theme for the summer. So plenty of things going on, and we are also, if you've driven across Mediapolis Road for a long time really, towards, as if you're leaving Mediapolis and you get all the way out towards the county line like you're heading to Mount Pleasant, is probably the best description I can give you. There's about a 2.5 mile stretch out there where there's bumps every so often, and they're pretty good bumps if you're driving a school bus or
How far are these out, Brian?
almost to the county line, like you're heading to we have a milling crew out there, so we have a mill head for the front of our skid loader, and we're out milling the worst of those right now. So a fair number of people said something about that. It's kind of a losing battle out there. There's 2 layers of concrete underneath that asphalt. Well, they're old concrete, and when they kind of blow up underneath the whole thing, they create a bump in the asphalt. So that's what we're out there doing, trying to help it. We won't do all of them. Some of them we can't do because there's not enough there to do. So we have quite a few 1-lane operations going on. So I thought I'd mention that to you. And yeah, other than that, things are going.
It pretty well ends at the Yarmouth Road.
No, it runs from the Yarmouth Road or whatever you want to call that over to the county line.
Yeah.
It's 2 miles, give or take, maybe 2.5, I can't remember. So, and we're not doing the whole thing, we're just moving from spot to spot to spot. But it's a very inefficient operation. You can bill for whatever, and then you have to move ahead and traffic control and all that sort of stuff. So,
Thank you, Brian.
yep, thank you.
Moving on to correspondence. Either of you gentlemen have any correspondence?
I did not.
We got one here from the Department of the Army. Says Moines County Supervisor. He says, Iowa Army Ammunition Plant, IAAP, is providing the public notice regarding approval of a Class 1 permit modification authorizing under the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, RCRA 40 CFR 270.42, D1. On June the 6th, 2025, the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, Region 7, approved IAAP Class 1 permit modification request submitted on June the 5th, 2025 for RCRA Part B permit, Hazardous Waste Management Facility permit number, Iowa 721-3820445, dated September 2018. This notification fulfills the requirements to inform the parties of the facility permit mailing list within 90 days of the EPA approval. The approved modification allows IAAP to defer the May 2025 groundwater sampling event at Trench 5, resuming samples permit condition, extends the submission deadline for the 2025 annual report to no later than September 30th, 2026, incorporating the results of May 2026 sampling event in accordance with permit condition 8.m. For questions regarding this action, please contact Jen Buster at IAAP Restoration Manager at 319-753-7339 or Jennifer I. at Buster at CIB@army.mil. In other words, the groundwater sampling that they're doing for the flumes they've got, that's what that pertains to. This will be on.
I drifted off while you were reading that, Jim. Could you do it again?
Just a minute, Tom, I'm gonna read this first. There you go. Okay, moving on to the vote, we've got a Class C liquor license for traveling sips.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Traveling sips.
Tom Berger,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Now we have a resolution for the 2025-47 on sale of the old county health building located at 522 North 3rd, Burlington, Iowa. This is what we went into closed session for. Says whereas Des Moines County desires to dispose of the intent of real property, and whereas the county, after consultant with the assistant county attorney, has the authority to dispose of real property pursuant to the Iowa Code Section 331.361, and whereas the county proposes to dispose of real property by sealed bid, and whereas the county intends to sell the following property: lot number 241 in the original city of Burlington, Des Moines County, Iowa, and lot north 20 feet 7 inches of lot 242 in the original city of Burlington, Des Moines County, Iowa, subject to 15-foot wide assessment for maintenance and retaining the wall access, also known as 522 North 3rd Street, Burlington, Iowa. Therefore, it be resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Des Moines County that this real property will be disposed of by sealed bid, adopted this 9th day of September 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. There you go. Now we have a personnel action. We have one for the county treasurer. It's for Christina Hay, clerk 2, motor vehicle department, anniversary. Previous rate $31,781.55. The new rate is $36,880.10.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Now we have one for the correctional center. Is Lacey Kelly, correctional officer. Last day of work is September the 4th, 2025. And she worked 1 day effective in the pay period.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Now we have one for conservation. Marcus Neck. Mark Knack, environmental education manager. Anniversary, 42-month step increase from $59,256.29 to $60,503.79.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. I've got two for the local health. We'll do these together. First one is actually they're both for Andrea Holmes, public health nurse. 5 hours unpaid, 9/3/25, 8 hours unpaid, 9/4/25, 6.5 hours unpaid, 9/5/25. The next one is Andrea Holmes, resignation, effective 9/5/25.
Motion to approve both.
Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Now we have reports. These will be in the auditor's office, reviewing at your own discretion. We have the reports for the Veterans Monthly Report on August 22nd, and the report for fees collected for August. These will be on file in the auditor's office for reviewing at your own discretion. Now we have the minutes from the regular meeting on September 2nd, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Sarah?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Let's see. Okay, is there any other business?
I have none.
Future agenda items?
I have none.
The work station's coming up next week on for the, with,
I think we'll do the wind energy storage system siting and design standard.
okay. I don't have anything else. Okay. Committee reports.
And then,
I had none.
I had none. We have we got, public input. We give the public 2 minutes to call in at 319-753-8203, extension 4, or email board@dmcounty.com. Meanwhile, during them 2 minutes, does anybody in here have anything to say?
it's a lively bunch.
Brad, you're back there smiling. What do you got?
I have nothing, I'm just enjoying it.
This is
Oh, he's got
where we
some.
really missed you, Shane.
He's got some, make no mistake about it. You know, I can't really get the whole feel of it, but I see your faces, I know who you are. You guys have been committed to getting this done, God bless all of you.
I gotta tell you a little bit about Brad. I don't know if too many people know this, but I've got a son named Brad. His name's Brad, and it's Brad Drain. And all three was in the same class at school. And that teacher, every year, you gotta do something with Brad. Which one? All three of them.
Can he do the Brad C thing? We were both Brad C's.
Yes, he was.
He had to go further than that, so.
They did go ahead and open the interchange last week. It's probably old news to a lot of people, but up around Mediapolis, it's not fully open. You gotta pay attention because there's some traffic backed up and the Virgin thing, but to go to Mediapolis, and I gotta get a hold of DOT, somebody pointed out to me, and I haven't had time to check it, that there's not actually a sign for Mediapolis, on the four lane, so I.
Really?
There's an exit sign.
With all the other construction stuff, maybe, I haven't looked, to be honest with you, but anyway, I, pay attention if you're up in that area, it's a very different,
There's a sign for Waffle.
traffic, so, yeah.
I'll be
So-
there.
And I have not heard back from, like I said, right now, 235th is closed, which is what we call the school loop, up and around the school, and it's gonna be closed, I think, till the end of October, from what they're telling us. 260th is closed, so I am still waiting to hear back from the DOT about a possible kind of a case-by-case situation where they could maybe let oversized farm equipment get through one of those two locations, kind of on a scheduled call ahead type scenario to try to give them a different way to go rather than going all the way to the north or the south to try to get around that area. Because going through Mediapolis isn't viable for some of that large equipment. So when I have something from there, we'll see if we can work something out, but it's gonna take the DOT and the contractor figuring it out first.
Would that be in the paper or something? Cause I don't know, we haul from Pleasant Grove to
Yeah,
the bottom, so we use 260th and it's shut down, so.
my desire, intention would be to try to publish something, and we can probably come up with a mailing list for a lot of farmers too, get a hold of the elevators, just try to get that information out there. Use the media and just try to say, here's a window of time, Monday through Friday, here's a phone number to call. If you miss it, that's it. Nothing on the weekends, because I don't think the contractors can be willing to sit there on the weekends, kind of a thing. So that's kind of what I've proposed at the moment. It's been radio silent for about a week and a half, so I need to nudge them again. But trying to come up with a middle ground, and like I said, I think they've wavered on closures forever and ever, but they've shortened what they were thinking for 260th closure also, but that's still going to be through most of harvest, so trying to come up with something for large equipment. So we'll see if we can succeed at that or not.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Well, 2 minutes is up, so Liz and I were out here. We're gonna have a work session here in about 5 minutes.
I'm going to be watching all your lovely faces. I'm going to enjoy this from my home. You guys help me.
I've got Okay, we're ready for our work session on the wind soil ordinance. And we can turn this over to Zach and,
It's actually gonna start off by telling us what page we're on.
and we got a question right off the bat.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Rose Fisher. I would just like to say that before I retired, I was an auditor, so reviewing documents is just kind of in my DNA. So last Friday, this draft ordinance came out, and so I spent the weekend watching videos of work sessions and reading through some transcripts. Throughout this whole process, it appears that regional planning has been selective about what changes were made or not made, because in many instances, the draft doesn't really match what was discussed. So, for example, when this whole review process started, on numerous occasions, Mr. Henkelvig and the supervisor stated that they did not want a two-step permitting process, and yet, regional planning put that in there. Another example would be Mr. Broker spent 10 minutes explaining that he wanted failed turbines down and out in 30 days, period. But that's not how the ordinance reads. Yet another example is Mr. Broker stated that when a turbine failure contaminates a non-participating landowner's property, that non-participating landowner should not be held liable for contaminants leaching onto another property. But yet again, it appears regional planning did not put that in there. So it makes us wonder, what other things did regional planning decide on their own to include or omit? And when are we going to review this draft to see how accurate it is?
I'd be more than happy to sit down with you and go through anything that you think is missing. And that's fine.
It's the supervisors that have to vote.
And two comments, we didn't plan to release anything until we went through all the work sessions in every section,
But why would you do that? I mean,
so that we can review the entire thing after we've discussed the whole ordinance.
okay, so could I suggest that after we discuss today what's changed, that we review it next week when it's fresh on everyone's mind? I mean, waiting 4 weeks, 5 weeks for a draft?
If we have, what do we have after this, we have wind, what do you call it, siting standards?
Yep.
Something like
And
that.
then the permitting process.
It's the permitting process.
Yep.
And we haven't done anything for the permitting process. I've talked to Trent a couple times about meeting and going through that together, so we haven't touched it up.
I understand that, Zach, but before this even started, these guys told you 3 times, we don't want that in there. But you put it in there
No,
anyway.
and actually, I was initially against it. I am not against the two permitting. We talked about it a little bit and why Lee County had it, and I don't remember exactly what, but I do remember talking about the 30 minutes, the 30 days to clean that
And if
stuff
it's not
up.
in there,
And I wanted that.
We'll make sure it's in there.
And I wanted that in there. And I have not reviewed the whole thing. I've just sort of reviewed what we were gonna be working on. But we will, when we have all the sections of it, we won't immediately start to approve it. We will just go through and review it. I will read through this whole thing. I'm sure each of the other supervisors will read through this whole thing, highlight things and say, I thought we agreed on this, or I know we agreed on that, or why is this? We aren't gonna do it one at a time and then approve it. We will go through it as a whole document. But I have not, like those 30 days, I have not looked it up. I remember that discussion and I have every intention for that to be in here because,
Tom's brought that up to me multiple times. So.
yeah, that was an important thing, I thought. And, so,
Sorry, can I just ask a quick question? Brad Coates. So I just, so I mean, we want to work with everybody, obviously. as we go through and review these things and find these discrepancies, would you prefer we just kind of hold it all till the end? And then we do it all, I mean, because we are seeing these things and a little bit in Rose's defense, we see them on things that have been modified and weren't modified to what you'd requested. So we're kind of confused as to how would you like to see us when we find these things, and just make a note and we'll bring it all up, or do we meet with Zach off on the side somewhere during the week, or what would you prefer?
And then one thing, had no intention to attack Rose. I said I hadn't looked at a couple things. I remembered one thing that I thought differently after we discussed it. But I like to discuss issues when they come up. I don't know, I speak with the other board members. And then when we go through it, then we agreed that this was gonna be X. And it looks to me like it's Y. And then we go through that there and say, how did we get here? But, yeah, if there's something we need explained during today or tomorrow or next week or whenever we have these permitting, I would like to see that discussed while we have it fresh in our minds and it's right out there. But, I will have read through the whole thing by next week at this time.
Yeah, I mean, I think our challenge is we spend a couple hours going through a section here, and then if we do that next week, we're gonna spend a couple hours just on that one section, so we're trying to get through the whole thing where we can have a full document together and then go back through it. We probably have missed some things, we're not perfect.
Well, and that's the tough thing, I mean, after.
We have a lot of things, we take a lot of notes, we talk about a lot of different things.
Yeah, it's hard.
I don't think we're purposely trying to leave anything out or to not do something that they requested, so.
Well, and it is, I mean, it's not atypical for us. A lot of the times when we're working on various ordinances, chapters, for us to have, let's do one chapter and then come back and look at the next work session. And this time in particular, it was decided that because we were talking about some things that would affect the whole, that we wanted to go through the whole thing once and then come back and start going through it piece by piece again. So it's not unheard of for us to do that back and forth, where we immediately that next week look at the changes that were discussed and made and then go back through it. But this time in particular, at the beginning, at the onset, it was decided that we would go through it all and then go back through it chapter for chapter, which is what I think Tom's saying, was what Tom's saying. And I think part of it was because when we get into some of the definition stuff and we get into some of the permitting stuff, that will affect some of the changes and it will affect the whole. So I mean, it's not uncommon for us to do it that way. That's just not what was decided for this particular one,
I guess my response would be point taken, Rose. We're not gonna let that happen.
If there's
I
specific
appreciate
things that you guys
appreciate
have,
you
I mean, you
bringing it up,
can
and I
email us a list of bullet points or
I have
send
not
it to
gone back
them
and checked
and they can
everything.
forward it
I
to us, I mean, either way.
read ahead, and so I have an idea what we'd be discussing, but that's a point taken.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Got another one.
Yeah,
Cindy Newberry. So the thing that bothers me the most is like when I went to the Henry County meetings, and so whatever you discuss and decide upon would be in the draft, which I think that's what Rose said. It's like you said one thing and then the draft said something else, right? I guess. Okay, so, and that makes no sense to me. And also, in Henry County, whatever you guys do this week, we've been doing this for months now, and we have totally forgotten, clear back, not forgotten, but we don't know what's in the draft because this is the first time, I guess, it's been updated in how long? Henry County, every
Year and a half.
No, the draft.
The draft.
She's saying.
the draft that we're working on right now.
Oh, okay.
We had the beginning one, and then we had one update, quite a while ago.
Is it
Henry County,
July?
July, yeah. Henry County, between every meeting that this was held, they updated it, so you could keep up as you're going along and see what you said in a draft, and then they would review it at the beginning of the next meeting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That way it's still, like she said, fresh in your mind, and it's in writing, so you can keep up with it. Trying to do all this at the end, you know, and Brad said, there's a lot to cover at the end. Did that make any sense?
What do you think, if we take a meeting and just bring the draft up to where we are? And then take the next,
It's up to you guys. We've just been trying to go section by section and
well, some of the stuff, if the 30 days, because I remember a lot of discussion about that.
That was 30 days to take the tower down.
To clean it up and take it down and clean up what can be cleaned up. Obviously, you can't take the foundation out or something like that, but knock it down so it isn't blowing fiberglass all over.
Let's bring everything we've already decided on up to date. Not have a meeting, give you.
Well, we could have a meeting then next week if we did that, and just go through what the sections we've already discussed. See where they are.
I think that's actually already in here too. Response to damaged property. If the emergency event results in conditions that present an imminent danger to public safety and private property, then the owner and operator shall mitigate all such danger 30 days after the damage event to the removal and or disassembling of all damaged
What page are you on?
46. Uh, 46, yeah, it was, D1.
Yeah, that presenting that danger public safety problem.
I think that's what that was supposed to address.
I'm gonna interject here. We're already heading down a path where, with Rose having a list of things she found, if you wanna do a review, I agree with what Tom had said, and Jim, I think, agreed too. Do a review next week. Get everything, bring it all up. If you sit here and start to bring up one thing after another right now, we won't get through what you've already advertised for today. I think Rose has a great point. I worked in regional planning a long time. I've never ever seen them intentionally change something from what I gave them or somebody else. It's been a long drawn out process. Perhaps what Cindy said would have been a better way to go about it. Maybe it's just another learning lesson for us, certainly. So I'd say if you want to do it, if the board wants to do it, do next week as a review to get any concerns addressed, get things aired out, caught up, and then move on with the review. And
yeah, I think that was our concern was like what could happen right now. We start going through we spent hours just going through all the comments. I mean, I'm looking, it looks like we've got over 130 things we've modified in here. So I mean, it's not like
let's bring it up.
It take a long time to
bring it up to date.
And then we will go through it next week, bring it up where we are to this point, then we'll have.
Do you still wanna go through the battery section or no?
Yeah, we're here, let's go through the battery
What
section.
we're gonna do today, yeah.
And, then next week we'll review the, work to date.
And I think, like, Rose has put a lot of time into this, it sounds like Brad has too, and probably other people. I think it'd be good if they could summarize those into an email or something, not to have Zach make the changes before, because I think the board should hear whatever they feel should be in there, but to have that stuff already available before we walk into the next meeting, so that it's not, as little as possible, it's not just people from the crowd throwing individual items out.
So you're saying changes from the original 2023,
I'm just saying,
ordinance.
along with what Zach has,
along with what Zach
his
has?
changes, and whatever Rose and Brad or anybody else have found, give them Zach's email, have them send a list of that stuff to Zach, and then it can be brought, not that Zach should go make those changes without the board saying,
Okay.
yeah, this is what we meant.
Okay.
But, and that way it's not, it's less of just miscellaneous stuff getting, it's inefficient if everybody just waits till next week to throw it all against the wall.
Yeah, if it's there by,
I hate everybody throwing it against Zach for a week or two.
Well, I don't, Zach shouldn't
I'm not
even,
sure how that'll work.
no, but Zach doesn't, or send it to the board. I'm just saying,
I don't care
have
who they go to, but. as long
it
as
in a
it's-
spot.
Okay, if
I think Tom just volunteered.
if we,
Send it to me, I don't care.
Well,
We'll do it however. I mean,
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
yeah,
That's what I was saying, if you guys have a list of stuff, I mean.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. send it
Okay.
to
But
us.
we're working off, Brad goes, we're working off the last draft. So we didn't start going through things until this draft came out Friday.
Uh-huh.
And Rose really dug in. And so that was the draft that we looked at, since that was the latest modified thing we had. And there were changes going back through the back part of that on stuff that we had already discussed. And so that's where she went through, and she went through all the transcripts and watched the videos and what was said and what was asked for, and that's where we started making the comparisons. So we were just trying to see if, because we all had a little bit of notes, and we thought we can't keep track of this. And so we went back and rewatched stuff, to see what was said. I don't know what else we could have done.
if you don't, I'm gonna end up sending them to you.
Yeah, that's fine, I don't care.
so I think if we can get those to Sarah's office, like, by Thursday, so then you have Friday morning to put in, and then that's just part of what goes out with the packet for the work session. That gives everybody an opportunity to look at it. True, if it comes out on Friday, it's not a lot of
It's a
time.
little tough, yeah.
It's tough, but at least it's some time. It's better than having just having to react in the moment, then everybody can look.
Can we have that ready in a week?
Well, you might be, this review probably is more for how far we've gone, if you're gonna stop and review, it might be a couple weeks of a review. I mean, it depends on how much debate there is and memory and discussion and stuff. I mean, you're not under the gun for how long it takes you to do the review, so. But I'm just saying, there'll still be stuff that comes up. There'll still be, Jim will say, I remember this, or Rose or whatever. That's all gonna happen as part of review anyway. It's already happening every time we go through a section. Just, if they've already got a list of stuff they put together, and now they know it's gonna be gone through with everybody sitting here, so I might save them some effort going forward, since they'll be here as it is. Just my advice to try to make things as clean and efficient as possible on what's been a long process.
Cindy?
Cindy Newberry, in Henry County, for instance, like, if we'd have done this all along, we wouldn't have all this backlog. So in you highlight in yellow what's been done, and then the next week, what they covered would be done in red. So you knew what was done before and what was done the last week, and then they would, review it as you go. Anyway, that's just a suggestion, because that way it's not, if it's all yellow, you don't know what you talked about way before or what you talked about last week. That makes sense?
So everything in yellow is from something that came from the Lee County ordinance. We did anything that's in red is just completely new. Something that's green and red is something that's been updated since the last draft.
Okay, so, and this would be a color for what you covered the last week. I mean, it's just a suggestion. That way you're not repeating yourself every week.
Well, we're down to 2 sections other than our review, right?
Yeah.
Well, 3 technically. Battery, storage systems, wind, and permitting.
Then we'll have to do definitions. Should be quick, maybe. I don't know, knock on wood, right? Famous last words. So,
So we've got 2 complete sections after, if we do battery systems this week, there'd be 2 after that.
Correct.
So if we go just a review next week, I guess what I'm asking is, can you have that ready next week? If you're not gonna have the emails until Thursday, or do we need to
I would
wait
say
another week to
highly
do the
doubtful.
review? Could you, 2 weeks you could get it,
Hopefully, yeah.
hopefully. What do you think?
Well, I wanna also throw this out. Don't take this personal. Their emails shouldn't be sent to Zach and Zach make the changes they say.
Oh, no.
No,
That-
not at all.
Their email should be sent just for organization for the meeting. The board should be the one that says, yeah, we remember this.
Okay.
This needs to be in there. So Zach needs to get as much
No,
time as he needs to
and I
get.
think we would just use it to review and see,
Yeah,
is it in there
that's-
somewhere or not, and if not,
So the time to do
where
that
was
is
it?
what
Yeah.
you need.
Yep.
Well, if they, cause I'm gonna forward those to you, the variances or whatever it is. You can look at them, you can ask me questions, we,
Yeah, that's fine.
so do you wanna, rather than do that next week, we would do that the week after? I guess was my question.
I would think so. Jared's out of the office till Thursday. I know
If the
my week
emails
is
are
very
supposed to be
booked
here
with
by-
other things.
By Thursday, within Friday and Monday, that's not much time to change much. Jared, when's Jared get back? End of next week?
Thursday this week.
Thursday this week. I guess what I'm saying is, we were gonna have what's
Let's
today,
have it, if they'd have them in by,
if we'd have have it the week of the 23rd, today's the 9th, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So to clarify, right, Coach, to clarify, we are gonna review the 9/25 draft that just came out on Friday, right? I mean, that's kind of what we went.
That's the only one we have to review.
Right, that's the one we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, just so we're all on the same.
We stuck.
Okay.
You're saying the 9/5 draft.
Excuse me, let's say 9/25, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you said
9/5,
25,
yeah,
9/5.
I'm not a numbers guy, it's just.
And so we can do the review then on the 23rd. If we would have those emails. And 11.
Yes, Rose.
I would like to clarify, Trent had suggested that the emails go to Sarah. I mean, this isn't like a group project, there's several people that are working through this. So there may be some redundancy, or some may have more than others, so, and you
Sarah,
guys
you
some.
can copy the board.
Yeah, because you guys sometimes say you don't receive the emails, so you respond to me.
If I haven't responded to one, it was complete oversight. I have read,
No,
watched
you-
videos, listened to radio shows,
Yes, you
read,
have.
and I appreciate all that. And I probably haven't responded to everything, but I made the attempt to, so if I hadn't, I apologize.
No, you have, and I appreciate that, but some have not always, and it's not just me, other people have commented that they had sent you emails and you guys said you didn't get them. So I think it would be best if they, because like I said, it's not just me working on it, there's other people around that may have
Yep.
things too, so if they would all go to Sarah, they're all in one place.
They're all in one place, and you can, I'll tell you what, if you just send them to Sarah, then we all won't be getting one from the auditor, because she's gonna forward them to us. So if you just send them to Sarah, then you can forward it to the board, so we don't get 2 or 3 copies of each, comment.
Well, in that way, it goes out with the packet for the work session and what's published, so you
I
know,
don't think these are going after the work session though. I think these are just their comments of what they feel like has not been adjusted, that they want Zach to know has not been adjusted. So it's not something necessarily for the agenda. It's what they feel like has not been changed and needs to be looked
That
at.
they see needs to
and
read, it
review.
doesn't read the way they remembered, or they discussed it, or it was discussed. So I think if they go to Sarah, Sarah will forward them to the board.
Copy us,
Southeast,
yeah.
copy you, and the board can go through them and compare them to the September 5th copy.
Okay.
And then we would be ready to, probably not the 16th, but the 23rd. That work for you, Jim?
Yeah, it will. This email stuff, we don't get a lot of these emails. A lot of my email goes into junk mail because this message was originated outside of Des Moines County. So a lot of the stuff, if you're over in that area and if you're still on that other line, I don't get a lot of them emails. And quite frankly, anything that comes out of Des Moines County, if I don't recognize the name on it, a lot of it goes right into my junk. I delete it, so I probably delete as much mail as you guys are sending. I did get your noise, but I think that noise is coming from that garage in the background. I just had to throw that in there.
Couple weeks might let Shane be more involved too, as he's feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, and they're just back everything up.
Well, what I suggest, let's work on the one we're working on today. And then when we bring that other one up on the 23rd, then we'll only have 2 more to go. And that makes sense to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we can sit here
We have,
past my lunchtime, and still be talking about this today. And then when we bring that other one up on the 23rd, we'll only have 2 more to go. And then we'll have our final reviews. Yeah.
I just want to avoid redundancies. I know there's a delay on the line.
I didn't know you were there, Shane, you scared me.
Hello, say that again?
Tom
I
was
didn't
looking at your
realize you
chair.
were on the line, I just heard your voice coming from somewhere.
Oh, I said I just want to avoid redundancies, in any way that we can do that. Efficiency is so much better, so.
I think that's why regional planning was wanting to get through each section first and then have one final draft of everything and then review the final draft
Yep.
from there. So that way we weren't reviewing it every single time because you're gonna draw it out so
And
much
there's,
further.
if you go through each section, you find something that
Right.
changes something in another section, so we
So-
wanted to get through the whole thing and then just go through it all at
Yeah,
one time.
and then have a review once you've gone through every section, so that way you know.
Okay, let's move on with.
We got a plan then?
Yep.
We get the emails by Thursday, or Sarah gets emails by Thursday,
And I'll
forwards them to the board. Southeast Iowa Regional Planning. And then on the, not next week, but the week after that, we have a review session. Okay.
I'm sorry, can you clarify that?
Oh.
This Thursday?
Okay,
2 days?
but no,
or-
but the way I understood it is you're gonna send emails to Sarah by Thursday.
Of this week.
of this week. And then she will forward them to Southeast Iowa Region Planning and the board. Then next week, we won't have a wind session. The following week, we will have the review session.
Got it.
Thank you.
So now, we'll resume
Thank you,
now
Rose.
with our battery.
Yeah, you guys wanna go through this?
We'll go through that, and then we'll have that out of the way.
Where are we back to 16 or something?
Yeah, page 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just starting at A, purpose, so the previous ordinance didn't have a separate section on battery storage. There were parts that were, there were parts of this that were in the ordinance that's been adopted to date, but it was only addressed if it was part of a wind or solar farm. They didn't have specific setbacks or anything like that, so, this is its own standalone section now. Again, something we did in Lee County, so that purpose statement, the standards within this article shall apply to all commercial energy storage systems developed under the authority of this ordinance, so that's just pretty similar to what's in there for solar, wind, everything else. Section B, setback from structures, places, and property lines. Just starting with 1, all setback distance measurements shall be taken in reference to the point at which the battery equipment will be closest to the applicable structure, utility line, boundary line, along a flat horizontal plane between the 2 points to adjust for any significant change in topography and land elevation. That's the standard statement it's in it for all the different energy systems, and that's from the existing ordinance that's been adopted.
Okay, you're talking about.
So wherever, if this is the corner of the storage system, it's from, and that's the closest to, whatever this is, a house or whatever, it's this closest point, whatever it is, property line, utility line, structure.
I've got a question if you go back to B1B.
Yeah, haven't got there yet.
Oh, okay, I thought you were already.
Nope, getting there.
Okay.
B1,
I'll shut up.
B1A, requirements in this section shall apply to all applicable structures, places, and properties, regardless of whether they're located within a municipal, incorporated municipality or adjoining county. We've talked about that before, so even if it's within the city or just outside, it applies in those cases. And then this is new, the B, and this is the one I think you were just asking about.
Yeah.
Requirements in this section shall apply only to CBS at the time of construction and shall not apply to any new buildings or infrastructure that are voluntarily placed in closer proximity after it has assumed operation. I think we've talked about that many times.
My question is the word voluntarily. It doesn't say voluntarily by who. Can the developer voluntarily put something closer? It's not clear to me. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
If a
Yeah, I think
participating
the
landowner.
idea is, yeah,
If it says.
if you meet the setback today, it doesn't apply if somebody builds something closer in the future. It's only as to what's there today, but I think I see what you're saying. Maybe.
So it has to be
is-
the non-participating or participating landowner that would voluntarily accept that. If I'm making sense, and I don't always.
I think so.
Well, I think one of the concerns with these in particular, and it's even, if you look at, we have 2 and 3 are separate, and I think part of the concern with these is fire hazard. If these were to start a fire, particularly the lithium ones, sodium ones, and I think that's gotta be part of the reason for the setback on those. So if we're putting structures,
It's got a different setback for anything that contains lithium,
yeah,
sodium ion.
Yes.
but if we have that's burning hotter, then the odds of it starting the next structure on fire are that much higher.
Okay, so I go to B1C. So the very next bullet, requirements in this section may be waived if written permission for a shorter distance has been obtained from one or more individual property owners, and the waiver shall apply only to those specific properties. I think we talked about that many times. Somebody's willing to sign a waiver that says you can build it closer than what the setbacks are, or you're
Run a line out of like.
you're good with that. Yep. Okay, so this section has two tables for setbacks. So one is for non-lithium ion, sodium sulfur, and then one that is lithium ion, sodium sulfur. We're not battery professionals, but from what we've been told from, we worked with some of the emergency responders down in Lee County, and then I know we've had some, I don't think I was here, but some of the folks here in Des Moines County are saying those lithium ion, and sodium sulfur are maybe a higher risk to create fire, but also burn longer, harder to put out, those types of things. So basically what we did is we have a set of standards for the non-lithium sodium ion, sodium sulfur that's shorter, and then the ones that are, basically everything is double that. So I don't know if you have any specific comments or questions about any of these things. It's for the non-lithium sodium ones, it's 250 on a participating property, 500 on non-participating from a dwelling. It's a little shorter if it's a different detached structure, 150 or 250. And then I can go down the list. We did increase after discussion at the last meeting, changed all of the cemetery ones to mimic the occupied dwelling civic buildings. So I don't know if you guys have any comments or questions about anything.
From what I've seen, there's sort of precedent for most of those numbers.
These, I think, are from the Lee County ordinance, and some of that is from best practice guides that we've seen, or just feedback from, again, emergency responders. So that was the first table. The second table, as I mentioned, that's for the ones that contain lithium ion, sodium sulfur. Again, if you got questions, I can go through it, but everything, I believe, is double of the table above. I think. Like one of them may be a little different.
One of them is.
Yeah, one is 250 instead of 300. I guess we could change that to 300 too. I'm not sure
Okay,
why that one's not double exactly.
double
but
them
it's-
all, change that to 300,
Okay.
let's do that.
I don't know if it's because it's on a participating property, maybe.
Well, and
But
they,
either
if
way,
it's
I'm
a
fine.
participating
If it's
property, they
300,
can
yeah.
waive that.
I think I heard somebody say which one it's on the, oops, hold on.
The lithium, the second one.
So it's on page, I think it's 17, the
Yeah.
chart under number 3. It says, the second line says, all other structures, including detached garages, sheds, and livestock confinement on participating properties is 250. All the other ones are double. That one, for some reason, is not quite, it's almost double, but not quite.
Would
so.
stay consistent and double that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so that one's just taking a note. Struggling without two monitors here, sorry. Okay. Then the cemeteries too, again, that was double the chart, and we increased that to match the other occupied dwelling and civic buildings based on conversation last week or 2 weeks ago. Bullet 4 and 5, those were in the previous ordinance. Those relate to, I think both are related to right-of-way. So no portion of any CVS shall be constructed within any public right-of-way, utility or pipeline easement or access easement unless written permission has been obtained. But intended beneficiary of that right-of-way or easement is provided to the board of supervisors. That's bullet 4. Bullet 5, for any roadway that is to be newly constructed or widened as part of a project listed in the state or county 5-year program, the minimum setback for road right-of-way shall apply to that plan project. So basically, there's something in the works, but it's not there yet. If the right-of-way is gonna change, they have to use whatever that future right-of-way is gonna be, not what it is today. Only if it's gonna change. Bullet number 6, in any instance where NFPA 855 standard for the installation of stationary energy storage systems, from our understanding, that's kind of the national, international standard that's used, requires a different minimum setback than the sections that we have listed above. they shall comply with whichever minimum setback is greater. So if that standard has something that's higher, then we would use that, or if their standard's lower, but the one in the county ordinance is higher, then we use the county ordinance. So it's just basically whichever one is stricter. Okay, lighting and reflection. This was in there before. Any lighting that is installed on the premise of the vest shall be shielded and downcast to the extent that the light does not project directly upon any adjoining properties. Exceptions shall be made only when such lighting is necessary to comply with the requirements of FAA or any other state or federal agency. Okay, noise, this is a whole new section. We did make a few changes here based on discussion we had at the previous meeting.
I need to make a little announcement.
Yeah.
Rose, I bought a decimeter. When you told me you could get them on Amazon, was it last week or the week before? So I've been running around with the one with the orange one? Yeah, anyway, so I've got one that I had around the house and neighborhood and take it out into the country, so it's
Have you measured?
yeah,
What is-
no,
what is-
mine's orange.
Mine's kind of blue. We were all gonna sit back here and do this like we're in a rock concert.
Anyway, I wanted Rose to know that I was paying attention when she said that. And I bought it with my money, not county money.
Okay, and I would like you to know that I checked this within 8 feet of my refrigerator while it was running, and it was only 32.
Okay, no,
So,
I have not
could
checked
you
your
write
phone.
that down, please? Write that down.
Check your own refrigerator.
32 is fridge.
How does,
32.
how does Mrs. Broker take it when you hold that up?
There was one particular instance when it didn't work out very well for me. So, but we aren't going to discuss that. It was 100% my fault, so.
Of course.
But I will try the refrigerator, I hadn't tried that yet. I do know it just, I guess, when I talked about finding something online or something, there would be a tone and you could hear it go, but if you do that, it was, if a bird tweets, it goes like that, or if there's.
But if yours is like this, you do need to watch because you can either have it on decibel
Or maximum.
weighted decibel.
Yeah, it needs to be the way it is.
So,
It's, yeah,
You gotta learn how to use it.
well,
No, I want
I know I shouldn't have brought that up.
So did you use it out in the country to see what the volume is?
Well, I went out, I drove out in the country, not far out in the country,
Yeah.
and it was, it ranged anywhere from 45 to 65,
Okay.
when there wasn't what I thought a lot of noise. Normal conversation in our house is about
95.
we're gonna get into a portion of it that I don't wanna get into. But yeah, it varies. It's or one sharp noise, it can go up. But our house usually is somewhere in the 55, 60, 65 range.
Okay.
So, Radco, so I was up early duck hunting this weekend, so it's 4:30 in the morning, so I thought, well, let's turn it on, out in the front yard, and it was running right at about 29:30.
But,
Just with the crickets, and that's what I was getting in my front yard at dark 30.
Well, I'm glad you don't have tree frogs then.
I know, or the cicada, when the cicadas get going during the day, it's gonna be, and it really does pick up a lot during the day. I mean, there's a big difference between night and how far when I'm sitting in a tree stand at 4 in the morning, I can hear a gravel road 3 miles away. When I'm sitting there at noon, I can't hear it 500 yards away. So it's a huge difference between night and day on how that sound travels.
And I don't know whether I don't think they're tree frogs, they're either tree frogs or locusts or katydids or some damn thing that we've got trees that, anyway, just
Well, what we did here, so this was in here before, but it's new to the ordinance, that the volume of noise generated by any component of the CBS shall not exceed 50 weighted decibels. It was 55, we reduced that when measured from an occupied dwelling or civic building on a non-participating property. And this is a statement that was in here, I don't remember, I'd have to look and see how it was, but I know we talked about too, looking at the Henry County ordinance a little bit. We looked at that and I think it's maybe, I don't know what I call it, overly restrictive, maybe to a point where it might just be an effective ban, but.
So what Henry County has, we didn't say we'd look at it, and I did, and I looked at it a lot of different ones, over this last week. And so what Henry County does, and they're not the only one that does this, it's fairly common, is they have it at 60 decibels. But then they have, if it's something of a metallic nature, or if it's a whooshing nature, or if it's irritating, can be irritating, then they drop it from another 5 decibels. And then they have an option for somebody to apply at the onset, and it says that it will not change the ambient sound at any property that's been tested prior to putting it up, prior to the construction of, and then there's specifically wind, to be wind. And so it creates this kind of 2-tier system for somebody that says, hey, I don't want it to be louder, I want to be measured prior to construction and not. And that's not an atypical one, but it is very convoluted, and it kind of, a lot of why we started this, before we knew there was any possible project, before we knew that at the very beginning, if we go back, the concern was we wanted to get rid of any ambiguity, right? And the problem with that scheme is it does create a lot of ambiguity, and it is ripe for litigation. It is. Now, but also in looking at a lot of other ones, there was really, once you got out of that 60 and then kind of ratchet down scenario, there was a lot of them that had 50 decibels, and all of them that had 50 decibels were from the property line. And there was a lot that had 45 decibels, and if it was 45 decibels, then it was from a dwelling. And there was one that I really liked, it said a dwelling within 30 feet of the dwelling. So that way we know, is it in the dwelling, is that the living room, or the bathroom, or the bedroom, or it's within 30 feet of an occupied dwelling. But I think if we do 50, it should be the property line. If we do 45, it should be the occupied dwelling.
I think property line, because that dwelling will be back. That's where we're working on the other stuff from property line. That's where it should be.
Good.
Not that dwelling.
And I think that's the board's purview.
Yeah.
Decide what we want for rules. You're our legal counsel,
Right,
and that's your job.
right.
I don't think policy recommendations or the decisions are people elected us to make this decision.
Right.
So,
But, and that's what I'm saying, is we have, and when you look at the other ordinances, you tend to have 50 from the property line, and you tend to have 45 from the occupied dwelling. And I think it's easier if we do occupied dwelling, if we use that 30-foot radius, that way we know, otherwise, I just like definition.
So even if we keep it as it is, how it's stated in there, have a, what did you say, 30 feet from the dwelling?
Yeah.
So are you standing on the front porch, or
Is it the front porch, yeah, the back, yeah, I just think it's easier, so that way we can say, okay, yeah, 30 foot from the property, no, like 30.
Or whatever.
I like the house,
Yeah,
the resident. Well, that's, I'm just saying, I would measure it at the house, or the residence, or whatever you call it. I'm comfortable with 50 at the house, at the residence, the way you have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you think, what you're saying, I think we need to specify, is that like, from like the edge of the house, or range around the house, is it 10 feet, or is it
right, yeah.
30 feet, or whatever, okay.
Yeah.
I think we can add something to be more specific there.
Okay, oh, Brad,
So I just wanna discuss the property line thing just a little bit and see why we're backing away from that. For a couple of reasons. One is that's then limiting where you can put a residence, and I get that. But again, we've made this argument over and over that, you know, a lot of us have purchased our property knowing that when our kids are coming back, these are places we're wanting to put homes. I mean, that's part of the plan, and that's gonna be closer to our property line than our current house, which is right in the middle of our farm. The other thing is again, you know, you're out recreating in the dark, early in the mornings, whatever, you're all over your property. And so the use of your property is really, I think from our standpoint, what needs to really be protected. I mean, obviously your house, but that's not the only place that you spend any time. In fact, that's not really even the place you spend time trying to listen and trying to hear and trying to see what's going on. And so when you are out hunting or you're out just enjoying a casual afternoon out by the pond or whatever you're doing, that's not at your house. And so I don't understand why we don't draw a line at the property line and say, it really doesn't matter where you're at on there. This is the number. I guess I'm not following that rationale.
If we're talking about property rights, somebody that has an actual tangible plan, I'm not gonna veto that with the property line. You've got private property rights, you can do whatever you want with your property. It has to be safe. I want everybody to be safe. Your property line is not, if there's any sort of a circumstance, you would leave that. If there's a tornado coming or whatever, you aren't gonna stand on your property line. You're gonna go to your basement. I'm just saying, it's a different standard for your residents than the property line. At least it is to me.
Cindy Newberry. It is all our property, and for all things considered, we need to go to property line because we don't have house rights, we have property rights. This is for 64 years that we know of. So for 64 years, you're telling people that you said they can legally sign a waiver, whatever, build where you want, but that's our property. Our whole, not house rights, property rights. Think about that one. Right?
well, we're saying this is from the property line. So whatever we're going out the property line, if you decide to build something later or use that, it's still away from your property line. That's up to you whether you want to build another dwelling or something there.
Property rights. Not
You've
house
got a right to build there.
No, you don't. We don't even know, we still don't know. If we build a house in that area, if we can get insurance. Does anyone know that yet?
But like, I haven't,
I'm just saying
Want
we
to
have
build a house
property
there.
rights. And there's no reason that kid, just like Brad, you know, he's got kids that want to build there. We're taking away our property rights to do what we want with our property. We're gonna go over this and over this and over this, but
That's, and I have thought about this as much as I've ever thought about anything. And that is the way I think of it. So that isn't gonna change.
well, you're not protecting us.
So one comment that I wanted to make is, and I'm all for property rights, but it has to go both ways. I have a right to put a shooting range on my property, but I don't have the right to shoot my bullets across the fence into the neighbors. That would be encroachment, and that's basically what you're letting
That would be
happen.
a safety issue.
a 750-foot tall turbine,
A
800 feet
safety
away
issue,
is
if you're
not a
shooting
safety
bullets onto
issue?
somebody else's property, that's a safety issue.
Okay. Well, since we're talking about property rights,
We're,
And sound.
this is, we're not here to argue. We've
I
listened to
wanna give you
everybody,
some-
I have read everything. I
This is
have
about
watched
sound.
everything. You can, and feel free to bring that up here.
okay, so last week there was a conversation about sound. This is information right off AES Big River Wind's website.
This is the email you sent out?
No, well, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
But it says, will the project create sound? And on the page, the next page, okay, on page 1, there's a link. If you click on that link, it takes you to what I printed as page 2. And it says that a turbine could be 35 to 45 dBA.
And not to be rude, but this is concerning wind turbines. We're talking about a VESS system.
Yeah, and, okay. We'll jump to that. I have one for that too. This is also from AES's website, yeah. The first one was from their Facebook page. This is from their website, and it is, actually, that's my copy. It is part of their frequently asked questions about battery energy storage system. So I circled the part in red. That's kind of important. And it talks about the chiller units and the inverters because those are the noise makers. So the following 2 pages are just screenshots from Google that show you images of what a battery energy storage system looks like. So this is out of my wheelhouse, but I had pictured a cargo storage unit type thing with,
Sorry to interrupt, but Rose, leave 2 of those for me on my desk too.
okay, I'll leave you some. Sorry, Shane. Anyway, these battery storage systems can be really huge. And if you look at the center of that page and it's telling you that a chiller unit is 70 dBA, and I understand it doesn't double, but every double adds 3 decibel to it. So how, do we even have a size limit on these battery installations? You know, if each one of these gets a chiller unit at 70 decibels, and they have all these inverters, and it's saying it's 44 decibel at 200 meters, which is 656 feet, well, that's one. What's the whole installation gonna sound like?
If we've got a 50 decibel, it doesn't matter how big the installation is, that's how quiet it has to be at your residence, or whatever these other setbacks are.
Do you live in the country, Tom? Have you ever lived in the country?
My grandfather lived out by Yarmouth, that I spent summers out there.
I don't know about anybody else, but, you know, when we have to hear the corn dryer in the fall, it's annoying. But we only have to hear it for a short time. And it probably runs 50, 60, I don't know. But the thought of having to listen to that 24/7, the rest of our days, out in a rural setting, that's unacceptable.
Who's that?
It's on delay. He's obviously wanting to say something.
Twice as better.
Did you guys have any other comments on the noise, or do you wanna go to
I don't.
access and security? Okay. Security fencing, sorry.
So can I just make one more comment?
Yes.
At the last meeting, when we talked about this noise, it was decided, I thought, that you were gonna reach out to Henry County and see what they did. Public Health was also gonna possibly have some input. When did it get changed from 55 down to 50? Because that was never decided.
It was last week.
You decided 50 last week?
Up last week, wasn't it? When,
I don't know if we discussed a certain thing, but we discussed that we
Yeah,
would
we discussed-
review
we
a couple
discussed
others,
it.
and we had some discussion about reducing it, so
Yeah.
we,
But 50 was never,
I don't know if we settled on an exact number.
then why did you change it to 50?
We had,
I'm just asking,
you
because
want back
Trent,
up to 55?
no, but Trent,
Okay, well,
Trent
then we got it
recommended
at 50,
40,
you should be satisfied with it then.
not when the assistant attorney recommends 45.
I just discussed that with you.
Okay, so you guys are discussing and making decisions
I did it right
outside.
in front of you. I told
We
him
haven't
that
made
he was not, that's not his decision to make. His job is to give us, legal advice, it's not his job to say you should do this, you should do it in the property lines, you should do 55 decibels, any of that stuff. That's not his role. You elected the three of us to make the decisions that go into that. Now, he can make this, observations to say, if you're gonna do it legally, you know, this is how that's done, or, that sort of thing. But as for the actual, whatever those actual standards are, whatever goes into that ordinance, the meat of that is decided by three people.
So can you tell us what you based that decision on?
What did I base a decision on? Which decision?
50. Why do
50?
you feel 50 is a good number?
We discussed last week 55, 50. I didn't say 50, it's better than 55. I remember the people last week who were unhappy with 50, so they put 50 in. I don't know, maybe they said, one of the other guys said he
have a
liked 50.
set number, but we discussed reviewing the Henry County ordinance, which we did, and we discussed some other numbers. And that was the number that we decided to put in there, and it's up
Who's
to
we?
our staff, me and Jared, put it in
Why
there.
would you arbitrarily do that when it hadn't been decided on? That's what I'm asking.
We get feedback in these meetings, we put it in there, and then they get to review it, and then they tell us if they don't like that or not. It's up to them to make that
We will be
decision.
doing that in 2 weeks.
Like, we just presented it to them, and I told them that's the number that we came up with, and they can tell me if they wanna change it to something else. Ultimately, they make the decision, we put
Wouldn't it
changes.
make more sense to wait until they gave you a number? I
This
mean,
is
you're
a
just
back
making.
and, this is
Rose,
a back
if
and
you'd let us
forth.
do it our
This is a
way,
back
let's
and
get
forth.
this, we
It's
probably
not-
could have had this done a couple weeks ago. There's been too many whys. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Let us do our work.
Please do.
I am comfortable with 50. Are you comfortable with 50?
Access and security fencing, all components of a best shop. This was from, these first parts were in the ordinance. Previous, this is on the next page, I'm sorry. A CBES shall be, I'm sorry, I skipped over there. All components of a vest shall be sufficiently secured to prevent any safety hazards to the general public. The CBES shall be fully surrounded with fencing that meets the minimum height design standards of the National Electric Code, and an entrance that is locked at all times outside the occurrence of maintenance activities. 2 and, we'll say 2A, those are ones we discussed last week as well. I think Brian, maybe you said you were gonna look into this too a little bit more, but this is from Lee County specifically about fencing your right-of-way, so whenever located within 200 feet of the right-of-way for a public roadway, all security fencing for a vest shall have a minimum porosity of 75% in order to permit the free movement of blowing snow and thereby prevent the formation of snow drifts on nearby roadways. And the supervisor may waive this requirement if the developer submits a study which confirms that a fence of the specified porosity will not result in an increase in snow drifts.
And I haven't talked to Ben yet.
Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, if you do talk to him and you have any comments on that, let us know.
I will, I just haven't spoken to him.
Let's see, signs. This, almost all of this came from when we worked down in Lee County, and this is guidance from emergency response folks from down there. Locked entry points for a CBES shall have signage which contains the following information: warnings of high voltage and other applicable hazards in compliance with ANSI-Z 535. I'm not sure what that is, but that's a standard that they specifically referenced. The type of battery technology and chemistry associated with the CBES, the facility's address and GPS coordinates, 24-hour emergency contact information for the operator, and then e-disconnect and emergency shut-off information for all battery equipment and substations comprising the CBES. Bullet 2, warning signs for high voltage shall be placed at the base of all pad-mounted transformers and substations. And then the last bullet, that was in the original ordinance, no structure associated with the CBES shall be used to advertise or promote any product or service. Questions, comments?
Works for me, so that's pretty thorough.
This next one too, also came from Lee County. There was a lot of concern about large fires. I think there was a couple incidents, I don't remember where they were, but they specifically referenced, I want to say one was in California, I don't remember where the other one was. So that previous section on the signage and this section were both because of that and because of some of the higher fire risk. But fire prevention standards says the developer shall ensure that the CBES complies with all relevant standards of the National Fire Protection Association, including NFPA 1, NFPA 70, and NFPA 855. Those are all from the fire department. And all areas of land within 30 feet of CBES shall be kept clear of combustible vegetation and other combustible materials or growth. So basically a little buffer of stuff that's not going to, where hopefully it won't jump to something else and expand the fire. Questions or comments?
That's fine.
Okay, this whole next section is new since the last draft. This is all added based on comments from Des Moines County Conservation, from Chris Lee. He's reviewed this and gave us a few additional comments as well last week. And basically, it kind of gives some discretion to conservation, DNR, soil water conservation to address certain things on a case-by-case basis. Bullet 1, the developer shall consult with Iowa DNR, Des Moines County Soil Conservation District, in order to obtain information regarding any sensitive environmental features within close proximity of the proposed CBES site, such as perennial streams, water bodies, or wetlands. Bullet 2, the aforementioned entities recommend, so basically give them some discretion to review and then make some recommendations. So the aforementioned entities recommend a certain setback between the CBES and any such environmental features. So those things I mentioned, the streams, water bodies, wetlands. No CBES shall be established within a shorter setback unless the developer demonstrates that the CBES will include the following mitigation measures, which is a secondary containment system capable of capturing electrolyte leaks or fire suppression water runoff, or the retention systems for stormwater and firewater size for a 100-year, 24-hour storm event in addition to the fire suppression runoff. So basically you have to be a certain distance away from those, I guess I won't necessarily call them water bodies, sensitive areas, unless they have, that they recommend, unless they have some kind of containment system for runoff. And then to follow up on that, for any containment and retention system required by this section, they shall undergo quarterly inspections and sampling during the first year of operations for the CBES, including testing for pH, any of 8 Richter metals, lithium, and any other contaminants of concern. And then it states that the owner and operator shall provide the results to Des Moines County Conservation Board. Bullet number 4, if the presence of contaminants exceeds, so if they do that testing and exceeds any applicable regulatory threshold, the owner and operator shall develop an action plan to mitigate the contamination, in consultation with the Conservation Board and or Soil Water Conservation District. And then it says quarterly inspections of the applicable contaminant system shall continue until the presence of contaminants is reduced below the regulatory threshold, with the results of each inspection provided to the Conservation Board. And the last piece there, the owner and operator shall be responsible for immediate containment, remediation, and restoration of all affected areas in the event of a release of hazardous materials in accordance with all applicable state and federal environmental laws. And that was all from County Conservation. Yeah, Chris reviewed that.
On
Last week.
that, 3A,
Yeah, let me go back.
you know, if there is any, runoffs of lithium or anything, I think that should be where it says reported to the Moines County Conservation Board and the DNR.
I see a couple spots here too, where sometimes it says conservation board, sometimes it says soil water conservation, and I don't know if Chris reviewed this, so maybe there's a reason why one or the other is identified, but I will, I'll make a note of that, just in general, and maybe we'll review that with him if it should be all three in every case, or if there's a reason why one or the other is just one of the agencies or just two, or.
Can I ask too, if we're looking at a subcontract for public health to have Russ be the subcontract for compliance of this, should they not be listed in this in case there is environmental water runoff? I mean, they're gonna be doing some of this testing as well, possibly?
Probably a good idea.
Good idea. Brad?
So I got a couple things, and I wasn't here, I apologize for the solar discussion, but there's a whole section solar on maintenance of soil health. And it talks about, which I think it needs to be less than once every 10 years, but it talks about testing the soil and doing all these types of things. And it's not, I don't see it in the battery. And I don't know why we would be worried about soil health in one, and unless there's a place, Zach, you can put it that covers all three, soil, wind, and, but if we're checking for soil health, this isn't the runoff or the area that Chris put in, that's what I'm talking about. But there's a whole section in there that talks about that, it's not in.
I understand, I agree with you.
This one.
I agree with you. That
Yeah,
should have
I think that makes sense, we can look it up.
Yeah.
I mean, it should really cover everything.
And now you say that too, we discussed maybe looking at a different time frame. I was gonna talk to somebody about that we worked with to develop that, to see if we should do a lower number on the years, and I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I would hope less than, and I don't know why you wouldn't test once a year to see if something's going on, or at least once a year. You test it 10 years, and you kind of diluted everything's came.
Yeah, that's where I don't remember. I feel like I recall, this goes back like 2 years or 3 years, so I don't remember, but I feel like it would take a significant amount of, leakage to where you'd really even detect it year to year, so I think that's why, but I don't know that for sure, that's why I need to call back and.
I remember talking about a mower, and I think it was maybe 3 or 2 or something like that.
We talked about a smaller grid too.
Yeah, we did.
Road?
Okay. Can I get my other thing in just real quick, since I'm Brad codes again with they're going. And Tom, you had brought this up first, and I kind of piled on top of you. This is one of the things that Rose had mentioned wasn't in there, but we talked about, and it was with a turbine, I get that, but it's kind of same with all this. If a turbine or some of this, whatever, a solar or whatever, if it contaminates my property, and then the contaminants leave my property and flow into Flint Creek, and the DNR comes after me, you had used, specifically said, we want language that says, I'm not responsible.
The developer is responsible.
Exactly. So again, when we're talking about the health and the runoff and all that, and that really should cover all three.
I agree with you.
So whether that goes in the emergency management stuff, because you had a spill or you had a problem, you had whatever, but regardless of which energy thing it is, if something from that energy enters my property and leaves my property and goes into Flint Creek, I'm right there. I don't want the DNR calling me, which you said that happened.
Well, we ran into that in Mechanicsville, or at least that's what the guy was told. So no, we wanted in there that for all three of them, that any environmental damage and will be fixed and fines covered.
Yeah, I'm not responsible, so
You aren't
includes my
responsible
land.
for any of that.
And then.
I like to review that, I think that was part of one of the later sections that I think kind of covers it for all three, but
Yeah, I
can double check.
I didn't see it, but.
We wanted to cover damages and fines.
Yeah, I thought that was in there, but it might not be.
Rose, you have something?
I don't have it with me, but I had a publication from a farm magazine, and it's talked about the contamination from solar panels. And that a lot of it can occur during construction as well as later when it's operational. So if some contaminants can occur during construction, they recommend that you test once a year for the first 5 years and then 3 to 5 thereafter.
That makes sense.
And I don't know, but if Zach was gonna reach out to some
Yeah, I
environmental
don't know, we
agency.
can, I mean, we can change it anyway, but I feel like there was a reason why it was 10, but I could be completely wrong.
10 sounds like a long time.
It does, so, I like it.
I would agree, the earlier, just for a baseline,
Okay.
and then something from there, you can pick your timeframe.
I don't have a problem with that.
Thanks for
And I think we talked about a larger sample area too.
Well, we talked about a bigger,
Smaller
smaller grid,
grids,
and more samples.
Yeah, I don't think we touched on that yet, because I haven't called that gentleman
You're gonna touch base with Chris about who gets notified if there's a reason that
yet. Yeah, because as I'm reading through this, sometimes it'll just say DNR, sometimes it'll say soil water, sometimes it's conservation, sometimes it's 2 of them, so is there a reason why it's listed that way? It might be, but.
I'm gonna jump in on that topic because I guess I'm a local control guy to the core as much as possible. I don't think the NRCS or any federal agency should have a direct statement or impact on whether one of these things can go or not go. I think input is welcome, but to me, that stuff should funnel through either the board or conservation. I've said this before, in the end, it should funnel through the board and not stop at the funneling of conservation. So I feel like there should be communication with them from conservation to get whatever education or whatever elevated information they can give. But I still think that should funnel through conservation and ultimately through the board and not let NRCS be a sole potential stopping point or going point, however you want to look at it in that overall thing. They should be a resource to the county in this process. However that can be worded, but
nobody has much faith in the federal government than me. So, yeah,
who knows if they're gonna exist at some point. I mean, I just feel like being part of it, obviously they're a resource. But I have had distant past interactions, farm related and otherwise, and I can't say, there's some definite personal opinions that, may differ from other people's positions, and I just think that's where you should be controlled ultimately by the local elected officials and county offices.
I think we could probably reword some of that, so it's where they're providing recommendations to conservation or the board.
Yeah,
or
they should,
both.
part of the process is fine, but they
No.
shouldn't be the process.
Yeah.
I guess.
I took a note on that, I think we can adjust the wording, I think, on that. As I'm reading it, sometimes maybe it's not completely clear, because sometimes it just says in consultation with, so it kind of seems like it's just, hey, we're getting guys, but other times it makes it sound like it's,
I think
we're giving them the decision to make this, and.
the general content is good. I think just some fine tuning and some more definition of ultimately where it flows and who it flows through, kind of a thing.
Okay. All good comments, okay. Adherence to industry standards, so we changed this quite a bit, actually, in I think every section. So before, we just had a general statement that I believe is shown in yellow here. It says all components of the CBES shall be built using industry standard materials and design specifications without the use of any novel or experimental
elements that have not been previously tested and routinely utilized in CBES projects elsewhere. So that's what was in there. And that was, it was a statement where we were trying to address a situation like Mechanicsville, because they only have 2 turbines in the whole county, and they were both like test turbines, something that different materials, different standards, different sizes, things like that. So that's the only way it was stated before. So we, after some feedback in the last meeting, we added a couple of things here. So to the end of it, that statement, we added in Iowa and neighboring states. We added a bullet. I think we found some standards for battery storage, wind, and solar, like a national, international guidance. So in this case, it's all battery equipment shall comply with the standards of NFPA 855, of the National Fire Protection Association. And then in each one too, we had another statement, and this gets to kind of industry standards in Iowa or neighboring states. So it says, in addition to the materials and design specifications shall have been used for at least 2 CBES projects of 25 megawatt or greater within 250 miles of Des Moines County, which have been operational for at least 5 years at the time a siting permit application is submitted. That one was a little, do we need that? Should we put that in there? But basically we're trying to say there should at least be other projects that have done this and have been operational for at least 5 years, so it's been there for a while. And 250 miles covers several neighboring, pretty much all our neighboring states to some degree. So that one's a little more borderline. I don't know, Trent, if you got any thoughts on that.
No, I like
But
it.
that was it.
So, Brad codes, can we get definition on operational? I mean, I know it's kind of a fine point, you would think that would mean, well, they're all working, but you'd hate to have a site or whatever that's got 50 turbines and they're running, but a couple of them are, something happens to them, they fail and whatever, and
Successfully operated?
well, something, whatever I'm not a lawyer, but I think, because that's everywhere, I mean, I know I'm back to turbines and, but with
Yeah,
all
no,
this, with all
Well,
this
this-
stuff.
so-
It's gonna have a similar line in all 3. It's gonna be a little bit different, but it's similar,
Right, yeah, so,
And we already have a definition of operations of day-to-day functions of wind or solar energy and or battery BES as it works to produce, transmit, or store energy. So we already have that definition in there, in our definition section.
okay, so you're good with that?
Yeah, I think it, I mean, we had it, this one that we added in there because there was, so I had questions about
some
that too.
ambiguity to it,
Early,
yeah.
yeah. And so that's what we went to put in there is day-to-day functions of wind or solar energy systems and or battery energy storage systems as it works to produce, transmit, or store energy. So,
Well, that's, yeah, and that's, it's a fine point, but that's operations, that's not necessarily operational. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, it's,
yeah,
I think if
I mean, I think we all want the
if
same
it's
thing.
not operational, I'd say it's a dead one. It's not working.
yeah, I think, because we talk about operational as well, and, when we're talking about decommissioning, because there's a time frame that they have to be in operation for some of the, so,
so maybe just change that to in operation or something instead of operation, whatever, I don't know.
yeah, no, it's good, it's good. But I think we do it in the definition section, we have operations, and we're operational, because it's gonna be basically the same thing.
I don't know, I kinda like is operation. Is operation. Have been operational.
Is in operation,
Is in operation.
or
Has
has
been
been
in
in
operation.
operation.
I kinda like that, is that?
Yeah.
But
That's good, we can do that, yeah.
clear to me, I'm
Yeah.
not a lawyer. Does that sound better?
Just, I mean, as long as we're on the same page.
I think so. And again, that'll be the applicant, they gotta have the burden of proof there, they gotta present samples.
Yeah, and the time and operate, because that's been a concern when we're talking about things used other places, is, okay, so just put one up in the neighboring county, now is it in use? I like that we have a 5-year window on that, because that's been in the back of my head, so I think that's good.
And this is something, because Jared and I talked about that before, and I think you changed it. Because that was the way it was worded initially, I wasn't sure, but I think, which have been, well, we can change that word, but which have been operational for at least 5 years, so it's had to be there for 5 years. The way it was worded before, I thought it had to be installed within 5 years, I thought there was some confusion.
Where are we now? Which has been in
It's that,
operation?
at the bottom of I-19, I-2.
Yeah, but I mean, what have we decided on?
Which have been operated for at least 5 years. So we're saying that you have to cite where some, in this case, the battery system and the material they have been in operation for 5 years somewhere. So they couldn't have just put it in, last year.
Used for at least 2. Okay, have is addressing at least 2.
I don't know, could be challenging, maybe not.
I don't know, is that present a legal problem?
My only
I mean,
concern there that I brought up to
for-
Jared for wind, I know you could probably find plenty of examples that have been in operation for 5 years for solar and
But the
battery, I don't know.
I
So that'd be my only concern there, but
think it helps, because it's getting it more specific, so it's easier to be, okay, this is, it says it has to be is it A or not? As opposed to having it be more ambiguous as to what, because it's narrowing down, it's starting to define what we've talked about throughout, as far as not using experimental, we don't want to use experimental, so.
yes.
So this is kind of giving us a more specific definition of what is and or isn't experimental.
And we want to
So-
know that something has been working
Yes.
and operating successfully for
Yeah, so,
a good period of time, so.
so it makes it easy, I mean, from a legal perspective, it makes it much easier for us to know and defend, this is what it is, so that's good.
Okay.
Okay.
The last thing on page 20, it just, again, this was more specifics about what this should apply to. It says materials comprising the battery, take a step back. This requirement shall apply to all the following: the materials comprising the battery equipment and the structures that contain them. That's A. B. The size, height, physical configuration, and energy capacity of each structure containing battery equipment and the distance between each structure. C. Materials comprising all accessory equipment to be used for storing or transferring energy, including inverters, transformers, cooling equipment, switching gear, metering equipment, and transmission tie lines. And D. The location and physical configuration of battery equipment in relation to accessory equipment for storing, of transferring energy, and if applicable, wind turbines of a CWS or solar arrays of a CSES. So that's what we're trying to say is, when you're providing examples of other systems, you need to show that what you're proposing is similar to standards of other projects with all of these things.
Let me ask you this, on getting back to the decibel point of it, when they run it, is there a buffer that they can actually put there to deaden that sound before it comes out?
So,
Yes.
I have no idea.
so some of the ordinances, actually, multiple ones, had, what we haven't talked about with these, but they had, things for, vegetation buffers, and so basically vegetative screening, which is something we have in the solar,
Yeah,
and not in this, but vegetative screening would also help, not just with aesthetics, but could help with sound.
So this one we specifically have a fence, but we don't have,
Well,
I guess there's maybe a balance there too, because the
Well,
risk
for
of
the
fire
fire
and the
concern.
transfer of fire, you wanna make sure
The
there's a
fire
certain.
concern is
yeah.
a concern.
vegetation might catch fire.
Rose Fisher, they do make sound walls and sound barriers for surround battery installation.
I'm sure there is.
this is something we ought to be thinking about.
Might not hurt to
Yeah, I
Check
We
and see what
can
they've got.
research that a little bit. Maybe they're just not gonna require that.
I think we should require, my opinion is that if they make something like that, we should require that to help on the sound.
We can research
I
that a
don't
little
know,
bit.
what do you think?
Well, that's fine, the vegetation, like for solar, that's nicer if you were gonna have kind of a,
And it might be fine
Visual
here
buffer.
too, but that'd be my concern is
but
just the fire.
it might not hurt to see what that is, what they, whether that's,
Can't put course
Effective.
up there, that course won't last.
Nice big concrete wall might just stop the fire. That'd be okay.
Concrete, well, I was thinking some of that old course that they used to use, you know. This road.
I'm curious to know if any of you have visited a solar farm and measured or visited a battery installation facility.
I have not on that, no.
I have not visited a battery installation.
So maybe we could schedule a field trip? I'm just saying, I find it difficult that you guys are making decisions about things that you haven't experienced.
Have you been to a solar farm?
Yes, I have.
How are they? What's your experience on
You want the truth or, I mean,
them? Well,
there is noise. No, I went there before I had my measuring tool. You know, they are unsightly, they do cause glare. There's things that they can do to limit it. They make special non-glare panels. I don't know that got incorporated.
I know when you drop over the hill going into Waffle, I think you're gonna get in a lake, but it ends up being solar panels.
Exactly. But, you know, you guys are there and you're making decisions about things that you haven't experienced. And I just find that odd. Shouldn't you visit a battery installation facility and know how loud they are?
Well, we just use data, what everybody's puts out here, what companies put out, we could go up to Waffle, I suppose, and listen, see how theirs is. Yeah,
So Tracy Lamb, city editor, the Hawkeye. I have a question for Zach and maybe Trent, maybe you guys. Where's the information coming from that you've based all of your recommendations on?
I'd have to go look in our server to see. We have sample ordinances from a number of counties. We have a couple different best practice guides,
So best practice guides, where do those come from?
different entities that are out there. I don't know. Center for Rural Affairs. Like I said, I have to go pull them up. I can share them with you.
Are they industry-based best practice guides, or are they actually like developers, or, I mean, where's this information coming from?
Usually like nonprofit entities, things that research entities, Iowa State University, things like that.
Okay, alright.
I'll share the list with you.
That's fine, that'd
And
be
then
great. Why
and
don't
then
you
we
email it
get,
to me?
and then just the
Yeah,
comments we get from here, yeah.
alright, thanks, that'd be great.
Or information like we were just talking about the emergency response, you know, and we had this meeting here with emergency responders.
You may have gone
entities like
over,
that.
you may have gone over all that. I wasn't in on your Des Moines or your Lee County development, but also Henry County. I know regional planning's county area includes Henry County. Did you have any input in their process of developing their, so do they have their own land use administration over there, or?
Yeah, they have a person in their zoning department,
Oh, okay.
Joe Buffington.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks.
Yep. I don't have anything else.
Okay, well,
Niall Shade, I live in Minneapolis. I talked to Trent about this earlier, and this is gonna come out of left field. But many people have invested thousands of person hours on this, a lot. And in my opinion, we're heading toward permitting. I think that's, everything we do is to write a permit. Why cannot this issue be put on a ballot for Des Moines County, for the citizens of Des Moines County to decide whether they want this to go forward? And if it's voted yes, then the permitting takes place. It should go to a vote because the vast majority of people are landowners and we have a vested interest. So I'm asking the question, why could not this be put on the ballot on election day?
He asked me that right before the meeting.
Yep.
I don't know, I mean, like I told him, I said, obviously we did the Minneapolis emergency system, but that was all based on statute.
Statute of emergency EMS.
Yeah, so.
Des Moines County isn't zoned. The reason they aren't zoned is 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, they brought it up at least once, maybe twice. And the overwhelming majority of people that were in here at that time were not interested in countywide zoning. So the only thing that came out of it is that the county went ahead and zoned the 2-mile zone around Burlington, because if they didn't do that, Burlington was intending to, and they can legally zone that 2-mile zone. And apparently nobody was interested in that.
But maybe I'm missing your point, but we're all citizens of Des Moines County and it affects every one of us.
Not arguing that. I'm saying I do not know the legalities of a referendum or a vote of any sort, except that
the way I look at it, I don't know about you, but if we put it to a vote, we're putting to a vote, taking the rights away from the people that want to put one of these up. So now we're taking the right away from them and letting the county decide, can you do it? Would you want to have the county to vote if you wanted to build a new house, whether you could or not?
Doesn't have anything to do with.
It's the same difference. It's the same difference. It's something that they want to do. And if we bring it to a vote, countywide, we're taking their right away from them to do what they want to with their property.
But the majority would rule, and if the majority says we don't want them, oh well, that's where our country's founded. That's the way our Constitution is set up.
Your individual rights are not subject to majorities. I mean, you go through it. The Fifth Amendment takings clause. No property shall be taken for public use without a just compensation or something to that effect. 14th Amendment applies that to local and state government actions. The regulatory takings, is the Supreme Court said, that's when any sort of a government regulates your property and denies you use of it. So I'm just saying, you can't, the public can't vote away somebody's property rights. But I have no idea if there's a law that says there's a referendum and you can get a petition or something like that that might exist. And if that exists, then that's the law this board has no control over.
Well, it should be explored is all I'm saying.
Have you ever seen one of those, Sarah? I'm not familiar.
I have not.
So for like a local, yeah.
Yes, Cindy.
Once again, property rights. They're more concerned about 14 people's property rights than the whole county's. And my other point is, to show you how old I am, years and years ago, there was a thing on it for vote on whether or not Burlington could have cable TV. Does anyone remember that? Because Weingart's here. They put it to a vote to whether to let cable TV be in Burlington Island. I'm just saying evidently it can be done. I know it's a
And
little
I don't know,
different.
not an attorney, but they recently had another vote in Burlington on the franchise fee, which, the city issues a franchise for, utilities, you know, for gas, electric, cable TV, that they have a franchise. And how that works, I don't know, but I'm sure it was whether they could, and the reason they had to vote the last time was because there was a petition that they had enough signatures on it to put it on a ballot. I am not familiar with that, and I have no idea what the legal options would be to have a petition, say we want that put on a ballot. Whether that is possible or not, I have not the slightest clue.
Yeah, because the franchise fee, and it's similar to like we're talking about with the EMS thing. There's specific statutes on those specific topics. So, but we get ballot referendums at the state level, I know that, we do. But I've just never seen it at the local level. Maybe we can, I don't know.
I've
just
never
don't know
seen
the answer
anything
to
like that.
question.
And the EMS part of that is they become a taxable entity. That EMS became a taxable entity once it's approved by the voters. They have a taxing authority over the residents of that
Yeah, and
area.
yeah, exactly, and the franchise fee with the different utilities, you know, do you have a utility or do you give somebody franchise rights? It's the same thing with, do you give, so like MediaCom, give Danville a check for like $100. It wasn't much, it was a little bit of nothing, but there was something, and so, you're right, I mean, but there's specific codes on those specific things. And the one in Burlington was a franchise, I believe, for utilities, right?
Well, I think they call cable a utility.
Yeah, it's treated similarly.
Or, well, I know they call gas and electric a utility.
So, I just don't know the answer to that question. We would have to
Brett,
look that up.
I think in the big picture, I mean, love to vote on it, because that, we wouldn't have turbines. But again, zoning and can we do it and all that, who knows? But the thing with all this, there's this huge gray area. 45, 50, 55, 40 decibels, 1,500 feet, 2,000 feet, and people talk about, well, it's an effective ban or whatever, but at some point, there's a house about on every corner. And so we are choosing numbers out of a pretty gray zone that there's a lot of counties that have chosen safer numbers. Now, it's not an effective ban, but at the end of the day, if there's a house on every corner, I mean, one county's 19th most populous. I mean, if there's a house everywhere, that's gonna, so I think that's where the populace plays a role in where in this gray zone do we fall. That's all still legal and it's all still, appropriate, but it is safe for the number of homes and the number of residents that we have. And that's what makes the job so difficult. I mean, we appreciate that,
Somebody has a lawyer for a friend, they can ask him, hook up and ask him about the referendum if it's possible. I have never heard of it being done, have no idea how it's done, but my opinion means nothing, or knowledge means nothing in that, because that's not what I do.
I'm no expert on the matter, but we are a representative republic that we put people or representatives in place to pass laws. And that is why those people are elected to be in that position. And that said, I get exactly what you're saying. There's just so many fine lines here that we're trying to dissect to respect the property rights of all involved and trying to find that happy place it's certainly not an easy position, but to ask the general public, and I mean no offense by this, but to ask the general public to pass a law that would have potential constitutional implications on the use of properties, I would have a great concern about that. I mean, as you've seen, we have this board that's asking constant questions of legal matters and doing research with not just the county attorney's office, but attorneys beyond that. That's a big ask of the general public, and the implications behind that would be pretty concerning to me. You know, that's why there's courts that overrule those kind of laws and rulings. I guess I would have concern about that.
I actually agree with that 100%. As much as I'd love to vote to do that, I don't know if that's the right thing to do. But it is this gray zone, and where do we fall within this gray zone?
Well, and I appreciate what the sheriff said, but I'm not sure wherever we end up, it's gonna be a happy place for everybody.
No.
Well,
Kansas.
Oh, yeah.
And as a practical matter, if we ask Sarah to put a 45-page ordinance on every ballot, that would be super fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, great time.
You're a little expensive too.
A little expensive, just a tad.
There go your taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but we'll look and, I'll look and see if that's even, I don't know.
Okay, well, thanks everybody for coming.
We will see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, you guys, for all the good work.
Yes.